Greetings, it is I, the legendary Toxked. Today we'll be taking a look at MechWarrior Online. This is my Cicadia, the 3C version. It originally came with a particle cannon and 2 machine guns. Toyed around with many different variations on it. I eventually settled on, I tried a ERPPC for long-range sniping. I found it really wasn't agile enough to get into a lot of the hills and mountains and positions, not having a jump jets. The weapon had to be torso mounted, which greatly reduced its range of where it could shoot. Toyed around with many different things. Eventually I decided on a large pulsed laser and 4 machine guns. Now something on the left here has caught my attention, so I close in a little closer. It's hard to tell from here, but it's actually a Stalker. That's an 85-ton assault mech. And he's shut down. I open up behind him. Pretty much get to sit there for a little bit shooting at him. He starts up. I start to scramble, running around. Now in going down and around, I'm basically just trying to disengage. Don't want to run off the other direction because there's some mechs there that will hurt me. So I circle around the hill, pop up, and I'm planning on just basically taking off. But upon coming up, I notice that he's sitting there and he's shut down again. So I open up again and rifle him a lot, and he dies. Actually, you just saw a 40-ton mech take out an 85-ton mech in under a minute. If you make your mech design too hot, it's not going to be effective. If your philosophy is Alpha Strike, I like to call it lighting up. If you light up, shut down, you're not going to be very effective in combat. I can't tell you how many mechs I've done this to. It's quite fun, though. Okay, this is Forest Colony. Wonderful map. Very well balanced. I wanted to show you guys something over on the side here. There's a cave you can go through. The key is when you're running a fast mech is to keep moving. You come out, take a shot, you engage one target, then you run away. And see if you can draw them off after you. Get into a whole nother firefight there. It's great fun. But you don't want to sit in a prolonged firefight. You don't want to just stand there, go toe-to-toe, and see who can dish it out, because being a fast mech, you're not going to have the armor. You're not going to be able to take the shots. So you disengage. Hopefully you can get somebody to follow you, and then into a trap with a heavier mech with you to help defend. And if no one follows, you go back and re-engage. What I found interesting in this game is they adopted the classic Battletech system with damage transfers. When a segment's destroyed, it's not actually removed. Any new damage that would go to it is transferred to the next section in. And if you're running and your leg takes a hit and is blown off, it's still there, but you're crippled as far as movement goes, and you just kind of limp along. Arms, everything else, all segments inside that are destroyed, and the damage just transfers in. So you don't have to worry about missing if you're concerned about destroying a section. So that's kind of a cool trait they put in there. I've been an old Battletecher. I literally been playing since I was 16, the classic Battletech. So I was quite excited when I heard about the online version. The one problem I have is the fact that they keep using the same names. You have MechWarrior, which is the click-based game WizKids came out with. I call it MechWarrior Dark Age, which was the first set name to help differentiate it, because you have MechWarrior, which is the role-playing game, MechWarrior, which was also a series of video games, then you have MechWarrior Online, which is this. So for me it gets very confusing. Alright, you have to keep engaging, disengaging, basically take pot shots of things as you're running by them. If anything chases you, run past a friendly that may offer them some free damage and maybe even a kill, and just keep moving. If you keep running, you have a better chance. Your armor is your speed. Pick shots. There have been times where you've gotten behind an Atlas and just keep sitting there shooting, and it can't turn around quickly enough to get to you, which is always an amusing situation to put an Atlas into. Are also more effective in groups. Really, you don't want to be alone in this game. If you go off by yourself, you're pretty much going to die unless you know what you're doing. And even then, it's not a guarantee. But if you have like 2 or 3 light mechs all team up, yeah, so there I went down. 301 points of damage, not bad, pretty respectable for a 40-ton mech. Now, how do you run fast mechs? What do you do with them? Well, your options are pretty much whatever you want to do. In general, you have 2 basic options with each of them 2 basic variations. First, you can stay back with the assault group. In this game, you want to stay together. Lone wolves die. As a light, faster mech, you can either scout ahead and try to spot opponents for the main group to then react to, give them an early warning as to where they are. I find that to be a big challenge because often they will see me before I see them and start taking shots at me. Seems no matter what I do. You can also try going behind the main group, in which case waiting for the assaults and heavies to engage, then you circle around as rapidly as you can and attack them from the back and try to distract them from the main force. In distracting them, they'll give them the choice between focusing on you, in which case the big mechs will tear them apart, or ignore you, go after the big ones, in which case you can get around behind them, tear up their armor, and drop a big mech pretty quick. The challenges in that, I find that does not work well for me just in my play style. As far as flanking around, I find I don't get out far enough to really come in unexpected. They see me, they react to me, it doesn't work as well. I prefer option B, or actually 2 with sub-variants of A and B. Do a far sweep around the flank. Then, once you're behind the enemy force, this will give the time for the main group to engage. Then, see how the battle's going. If your team is up on kills, you may want to just go on and start capturing the base, in which case they will be forced to either disengage when they're already slightly outnumbered, exposing their back to the main force to stop you, or you can swing in from the back, catching them off guard, start hammering into their back, and that's where you just need to keep running and just keep it into a swirling engagement. When you have things following you, run by friendlies to see if they'll clear your back for you, and just keep going. Constantly engage and disengage, engage and disengage. I actually have had matches where I've doing this type of maneuver, just running around shooting things, whatever comes by, and done 450, 500 damage in a match, considering that I'm running a 40-ton mech. That's pretty impressive. Certainly wouldn't expect that in all matches. Some of it's the variations on the map I get randomly, just things work out really well. Sometimes you get those little pesky situations where you come around a corner, there's a big mech, he just opens up on you and you just die because you just don't have the armor to sustain it. And he just happens to be pointing right at you when he sees you. Keep running around, doing the best you can. Getting back to the first variation, your job in that role is try to counter the opponent's fast mechs trying to do option 2B. And it's kind of interesting when you start seeing a bunch of light mechs just running around each other. That's where it gets pretty amusing and fun. In this variation, you'll see I'm just running around shooting stuff, gunning things, running around. I got in behind some mechs, shot them up. I knew there was a Jenner around in the area. I did a couple run-by shots at it. And what happened was I took down the one big mech there, ran around, saw this other mech. I thought, oh, I can take him down. I paused, I stopped, just started shooting at him, started taking him down. To my side, I didn't realize him, but the Jenner came around and hit me. Now, my mistake was I went stationary, allowing him to finish me off, but in doing so, he went stationary and got himself finished off. So I'd call that an even trade. That is basically the traits you want to try to incorporate into your play for running lighter, faster mechs. So how do you fight these fast little mechs? How do you counter them from running around you? Well, if your team has other fast mechs, they can chase them down and create this big swirling firefight, but that you can't always rely on that. My best suggestion would be have a lot of weapons and just fire at them. If they're lasers or you get a burn time, just sweep it across their legs trying to do damage, because if they lose a leg, they just instantly lose mobility and then you can just beat them down. And that's basically what happened to me in this match. This dragon here caught me with something, probably autocannon, a couple good shots on my leg, just instantly blew it off. But he then goes on this maneuvering spree trying to outmaneuver me. I'm not sure quite what he was thinking, because my armor, I could not have stood toe-to-toe with him. If he just stood there, tore into me, I would have lost. I instantly stopped, I turned, and just put everything I had into him. And he starts maneuvering around trying to counter my fire, and I ended up taking him down. Again, 40-ton mech, what's the dragon? 60, yeah, I think it's 65, 60 or 65. Off the top of my head, I can't recall. But he ends up going down, and I shouldn't have been able to do that, which is kind of funny.